Hello, my name is Elmore Alexander, and I'm the principal consultant with Optimal Consulting. And I'm joined today by Michael Ginzberg, another of our principal consultants, to talk a little bit about his background coming into our organization and focusing on strategic management consulting with an IT flavor to it. Michael, can you begin by telling us a little bit about your educational background?
Sure, Elmore. I was an undergraduate at MIT where I started being sure I was going to be a great physicist. I rapidly discovered that so did everybody else there expect to be a great physicist, and that probably wasn't where I had my greatest strength. But I discovered several things that I was very interested in, which were economics and psychology. So I majored in management in a special program designed by one of the great faculty members there, a guy named Jay Forrester, who actually invented the core donut for data storage. And it's called the Undergraduate Systems Program, which taught us to think about systems, to model systems, and that really has followed me through. I did go out for a couple of years of working. Some people would say I had a real job for a couple of years, and then decided to go back and finish my education, earned a doctorate again at MIT. I did get an MBA in the meantime at Iona College in New Rochelle, New York. My doctorate from MIT was in information technology and organizational behavior.
Mm-hmm. So this led you into a teaching position, assistant professor position. And can you tell us a bit about your research and your experience as a professor?
Sure. The reason I went back to the doctoral program in the first place is I got very interested in the impact of technology on people and organizations. And I wanted to study that impact. And I have worked on the management of technology, the management of technical personnel ever since. Various aspects of management of technology are where all of my research has been over the years. Some of it is focused internationally, much of it is focused in the US. My teaching was also in the area of IT, although I didn't start that way. I started as an accounting professor. Interestingly, I was an accounting professor because I was told by the senior professor in the department at MIT to take the offer from the best school that made me an offer. It was Columbia University. They wanted an assistant professor of accounting. And I went there having never taken an accounting course in my entire academic career. But I did stay at least 3 weeks ahead of the students for that first term. My teaching after that was much more in the area of IT management, change management. Like you, Elmore, I developed an interest in international business and spent much time introducing our students to business overseas.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, at some point, you made the transition into administrative positions. I assume that happened while you were at Case Western Reserve University.
Well, actually, it happened when I was at NYU.
Oh, okay.
And I woke up one day and said, I could run the department better than this guy. But since he wasn't about to let me demonstrate that there, I decided I better find someplace else. And that's when I went to Case Western Reserve to become department head. And I spent 9 years as a department head at Case, and then got interested in broader things. I ran the MBA program, became an associate dean for all the professional and international programs. I started the first exchange programs in the entire university. Ultimately decided that being a dean might be an interesting thing to do. I spent almost 20 years as a dean at 4 institutions, beginning at the University of Delaware and ending up at Worcester Polytechnic Institute.
One thing I know about you that I think is particularly interesting is the time you spent at Tulane after Katrina. Can you talk for just a moment about what you did in that recovery process there?
Absolutely. That's to me, one of the high points of my career, one of the things I'm most proud of. It happened that I had just left the dean's office at the University of Delaware, and I was taking sabbatical for a year. But president of Tulane, Scott Cowan, is the dean who hired me at Case Western Reserve some 17, 18 years earlier. And I realized that they needed some help and offered to give them some help. Spent a day down there talking about what I might do. And they, as part of their recovery, actually closed their School of Engineering and got rid of most of the engineering departments, but kept two engineering departments and merged them with the science departments into a School of Science and Engineering, then realized that they had no idea what a School of Science and Engineering should do to be something other than little warring fiefdoms. And so my job was to help them develop a strategy. And that's where we spent the year, is convincing people that we could develop a strategy which would meld science and engineering. As the dean there said, we're going to take 20th century science and build it into 21st century engineering. It became the most successful school at Tulane University.
Wow, that must have been fascinating.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. So you are no longer the dean. You've retired at Worcester Polytech as dean of the business school there, but you're obviously doing a lot of other things. Can you tell us a bit about what's keeping you busy these days?
Well, sure. Optimal Campus is at the heart of it. It's giving me an opportunity to really help other higher educational institutions that are facing real challenges right now. I've been involved with the management of higher educational institutions for 35 years, and this is a real opportunity to work with a number that are facing real challenges. I've had a passion for international education and have been involved in international business education for quite a while, and I'm consultant to a number of schools overseas that are going through changes of their own. Various countries are actually changing the nature of their education system from being totally state-run to being more mixed, as it is in the US. I have one project going on now to build a new university in Kenya, and I'm working with another group that is solely involved in consulting overseas, and I'm their higher education expert. We have proposals into a number of countries to work with them on further development of their higher education systems.
Interesting. Sounds
keeping
like
me off the street.
this is keeping you off the street and continuing what is quite clearly a very, very successful career. Thanks for providing that background information.
My pleasure. Thank you, Elmore.